You don't need to spend $40 a rack at a fancy smokehouse to get world-class barbecue anymore. Today, we're taking a humble set of spare ribs that I got from Kroger and turning them into a 5-star meal right here on the Weber Kettle. I'm going to show you how to master the fire, prep the meat, and whip up a homemade sauce that saves you money and tastes better than anything in a jar. Let's get to work. Now, let's get into the trim. A lot of pros will cut these down into a perfect St. Louis rectangle, but that wastes a lot of good meat. Today, we're doing a practical trim. I'm just squaring off the edges and taking off the really thin bits that would burn up. I'm taking this flap off because it blocks the smoke from hitting the actual ribs. We're keeping as much meat on this bone as possible while still making sure the rack is uniform enough to cook evenly. You get the best of both worlds, that high-end look and a lot more food for your money. You've got to remove the membrane on the back. If you leave it, it acts like a shield blocking your rub and your smoke from getting into the meat. Now for the rub. You don't need to spend a fortune on store-bought shakers. I'm using my everyday homemade blend. Coarse kosher salt, coarse black pepper, and garlic powder. It's simple, it's cheap, and it lets the pork flavor shine. I've added just a touch of paprika, not necessarily for the heat, but to give us beautiful, deep mahogany color once that smoke hits it. Don't forget the sides. I'm going to pat this in. You don't actually want to rub it, or you'll just clump up the spices. We want a nice even layer across the whole surface. For fuel, I'm running this Kingsford Professional Competition Mix. It was on sale at Costco, and for a budget-friendly cook, you can't beat that. Now I'm experimenting a bit today. I'm sprinkling some pellets throughout the charcoal bed for extra smoke, along with some Texas honey mesquite chunks. Make sure you clean your grates before the meat goes on. Any residue from a previous cook can ruin your flavor profile. Once the lid is on, I'll leave the vents wide open to get that temp moving. About 30 minutes in, I start dialing it back. My goal today is a true low and slow. I'm trying to maintain a steady temperature between 225 degrees and 250 degrees. To lock that in, I've got my top and bottom vents about a quarter of the way open. At the 45-minute mark, I'm going to rotate the rack, not flip it, so the side furthest from the slow and sear gets its fair share of heat and smoke. I'm also topping off the water reservoir that I forgot about at the start. Pro tip, the water keeps your ribs moist throughout the cook and allows it to absorb extra smoke flavor onto the ribs. If you look at my temp chart here, you'll see exactly where things got tricky. Right at the 45-minute mark, when I opened the lid to rotate the meat, my ambient temp took a dive. It tried to recover, but then it started sliding down toward that 200-degree danger zone. On a Weber, every time you open that lid, you're losing your heat envelope. By the hour and 15-minute mark, I knew I had to make a move. I adjusted both the top and bottom vents to halfway open. That extra oxygen was exactly what the coals needed. The temp started climbing right back into our sweet spot. I locked it in there and didn't touch it again until it was time to wrap. When your ribs hit around 160 degrees, it's time to check if it's ready to wrap. 3 signs to watch out for: rub sticks on, bones have pulled back some, and the ribs have developed a nice mahogany color. I like to wrap mine in heavy duty foil. I cut some butter pieces where the meat is going to lay down and then sprinkle brown sugar all over it. I put the ribs meat side down. I like to wrap it tight, then back into the Weber kettle it goes. I adjusted the vents to wide open as we're going to need the high heat to push through the stall. It's time to make our own homemade barbecue sauce. 2 tablespoons of beef tallow, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, about 1/3 of a cup of molasses, about 1 tablespoon of mustard, lastly a cup of ketchup. I'm going to simmer this for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm notoriously bad about cooking ribs and not cooking any vegetables with it. I bought some frozen vegetables from Walmart. These are just the zucchini blend. These are just your broccoli for it. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can cook it at the same time. Pretty easy recipe here. And do your favorite barbecue seasoning. I want the meat church texture sugar crunch. You want to mix it with olive oil, or in my case avocado oil. Then you place it over the coals, which is the direct heat side. We are now 4 hours into the cook. The ribs are temping at around 203 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the probes. Don't think we need those anymore. Look at that juicy ribs. Oh yeah. It's time to apply the glaze. I like to pull off my ribs when they're finished cooking because the glaze usually takes a long time and the temperature drops significantly. I put the ribs on the indirect side as I continue to cook the vegetables on the direct side. Once the sauce tacks up, it's time to pull it off the grill. It is time to slice the ribs, and I like to slice it in advance in individual slices so it's easier to eat and the presentation looks great. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It would help me out, and like this video. Oops, where did that rib go? It's time for the official taste test. Alright, moment of truth. I've sliced them, I've let them cool, it looks great. Now time for the taste test. Look at this. Oh man, which one do I want? I think it just falls right off the bone, don't it? That's some good barbecue ribs. I mean, from start to finish, it's about a 4-hour cook. Started it during my child's nap time and finished it when it's time for dinner. So perfect.